All right, guys, I want to read to you about the Genesis that we're still following up. Now, last weekend, I think we stopped in some like 31 or 32, something like that. But I want to go back and retrack my steps. Getting a little sleepy, I'm going to have to lay down. And we're going to go back and retrack my steps. In chapter Genesis 26, there was a famine in the land. This was in the days of Abraham. And so his son Isaac went to Abimelech, and the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go down into Egypt and dwell in the land, which I shall tell you. Go down into Egypt. So he went down there, and when he went down there, let's see what happened. Abraham obeyed the Lord's voice, kept his statutes and his laws. And Isaac in Gerar, and the men placed him and his wife and he said that was his sister. Okay, we're going to skip over that because I told you that part about he pretended that was his sister so that they would not be offended where they were traveling. But later they found out that was not his sister, and he gave a tiding to the area or whatever. He was very prosperous, and they went on. They stayed there. Okay, so let's go down here. Let's look at Isaac. When it came to pass, Isaac was old and his eyes were dim, so that he counted not to see. He called Esau. Oh, remember, this is what happened. Rebecca had two sons. Rebecca had two sons. One was named Esau and one was named Jacob. This is what happened. And the sons were wrestling in the womb together. And what was born first and what was born last, remember? And, excuse me for yarning. Esau was the lighter colored one. He liked to work out in the field. And Jacob liked working around the house, on the land and things like that. But Jacob stole Esau's birthright through a bowl of soup. Remember, I told you that one. Okay, so let's keep going. And then we had Jacob, who went away to work for Laban because he wanted to gain a wife. And he did gain a wife, remember I told you, but she couldn't have no children. So what happened was she told her maid service to have children. No. Her sister married him, the older sister, and the older sister was having children. And I think the maid servant had a child for him too. But anyway, what happened with Jacob? After all of the two sisters and everybody, Jacob ends up with 12 sons. And the 12 sons, they become the 12 tribes of Israel. This is Jacob's sons. Now Esau should have had the firstborn birthright, but he forfeited his birthright over a bowl of soup because he wanted to go on and do what he wanted to do. He did not know, but he forfeited his birthright. Jacob pretended to be him when the father died because he wasn't there. And the father said, I know Esau, you're not him. But the wife said, that is him. So he died in peace, and Jacob took the birthright. And then he ended up going out to Laban to work to gain himself a wife and to make money and everything. And then Laban was dishonest with him and gave him the older daughter and got him drunk And so he didn't know he was laying with the older daughter on his honeymoon. She ended up pregnant, so he had to keep her. And then he had to work 7 more years to get the real wife he wanted. So he got the real wife he wanted. He found out she couldn't have children, but she did have one child. I believe she had Joseph, and after she had him, later on she passed away. And I believe he had to take another wife. But what happened with Jacob was, let me go over here to 32. 32 in Genesis, it says, Jacob went on his way, and the angel of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's host." And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, into the land of Seir, the country of Edom. Oh, let me tell you what happened with Esau. You remember Ishmael was born of Isaac, was born of Abraham. Ishmael was Isaac's first son. This was all the way back when he, in the beginning of Genesis, so I was reading to you, he had got Hagar pregnant because Sarah couldn't have a child. She said, go ahead and let my maid servant get pregnant or whatever and have you a child. But she was not having a child. It wasn't happening for her. So Hagar had a son and named him Ishmael. Remember, Hagar ran away to the desert, and God promised her, I'm going to make your son a great nation as well. So go back and do your service, because she needed to be there, because Sarah did have a son that was named Isaac later on. But, Ishmael was the firstborn son, but was not born of the bloodline of Sarah and Abraham, but Isaac was. But the Lord blessed them after all of that time, because they kept believing by faith that they would have a son to leave as an heir from them two together. And they did. They had Isaac, remember? But Ishmael was born of another woman. So Isaac always had a half brother that was alive, that was much older than him. But now, later on, Isaac ended up getting with Rebekah, remember, after his mom died. And then Isaac had 2 sons in the womb, Esau and Jacob, right? They were in the womb wrestling, coming out, tumbling with each other. What happened with Esau and Jacob was Esau liked the Arabic women, and he went out, and his brother Jacob told him that he should stay within the bloodline of the bloodline of the Jewish nation. He wanted to go outside because he liked it to go out in the field where there were other cultures. He went out and married and he started seeing a Hittite woman, and Jacob said, this is going to be a problem. My brother's seeing the wrong woman because it's not in the bloodline. So later on, Jacob married an Arabian woman, which was a daughter of Ishmael. Remember, Ishmael had so many sons and daughters. It was an Ishmael nation. There was so many of them. So when Esau started dating, he got married to a woman that was an Arabic woman, just like Hagar was. And so this started making more nations of the kind of Palestinian kind, the Arabic kind. And so Isaac had a lot of sons and daughters by 2 women, and then his brother Jacob had Isaac was their father. His brother Esau had a lot of sons and daughters as well. So now you got the 2 brothers who came out disagreeing with each other. The one brother stole his birthright, from the father, but he ended up being the one that stayed within the lineage of what the Lord wanted. He just kind of stayed within the structure of marrying the same area person that he was supposed to, just staying along the lines of what he was supposed to do. The other brother, on the other hand, he went outside and marry outside of the lineage of the customs and laws that they were supposed to do. So now you got two different people, one of married into a multiracial ethnicity, the Arabic, and one that stayed over here with the bloodline of the Jewish nation of God, that stayed right over here. And so these two people here, the Ishmaelite and the Israelite, these two became two nations of people, but they're by two different brothers that come from the same mother, but all of them are bickering over various reasons, but they're related through being brothers, but they have different family backgrounds. So, and this way you have Israel, you have two nations. You have a Judea nation, then you have an Israeli nation. You have two nations over there, Judea and Israel. And so I'm trying to explain this to you the best way that I can. And so let me take you back to remember where they had Cain and Abel, and Cain came out and killed his brother, and God said, your brother murder cries from the ground, his blood cries from the ground. So it's almost like brothers have been at it from the beginning of time, when the first was born from Adam and Eve, the brothers. But anyways, two nations now that come from coming out of one person, one mom, but they came out different. One Arab married an Arab wife, one stayed over here married Jewish, and they are kind of at each other. Okay, so now let's see where we can go with this. So it said that I don't know how many sons, but I think Jacob had 11 or 12. So he had 12 sons all in the end, because we come to 12 tribes of Israel. So let's go over here to 35 in Genesis. And God said unto Jacob, arise, go up to Bethel, dwell there, and make there an altar unto God that appeared unto thee when thou fleddest from the face of Esau thy brother. See, they are been bickering with each other back and forth. Then Jacob said unto his household, they ended up making amends, Jacob and Esau, and they sort of drew a line, and they said, your stuff is over here, your territory is over here, and my territory is over here, and we're going to live without bickering.
Don't read that out loud.
They sort of draw the line and decided